Joining me now is Congressman Adam Schiff of California, who is a candidate for the United States Senate and is a former member of the January 6th Select Committee. Congressman, it is such a pleasure to see you. There is so much about this that I would love to get you in the meat of, because not only if they tell you who they are, you should believe them. But Congressman, when they tell you what they're going to do, you should believe them too. So knowing what we know and have already learned, how do Democrats create the necessary levels of engagement to push back, further expose, and defeat these efforts to use our judicial system to steal the election?
Well, Michael, you're absolutely right. They are telling us what they would do. And more than that, they've already shown us, because they've tried it once before. Stone's point is this time we will succeed in overturning the election if we lose. And I think we're in a more dangerous, more fraught position in this upcoming election than we were in the last one, because the Republican Party tragically has consolidated around the big lie and around the big liar. And they have had time to essentially put in place different electors, as well as different laws at the state level to try to disenfranchise voters on the front end, but also that they can tap should they lose after the election. So we've seen this playbook before. They're going to run it again. They're better positioned to run it this time. The very best thing that we can do to try to thwart that effort to overturn the election is to make sure the election isn't close. Really, the other remedies that we might employ, if we had to appeal through the courts, for example, we can't trust the Supreme Court. And so the only remedy we really have, aside from doing everything possible to inform the electorate, to inform voters, they're running the same playbook, folks. They're going to say any vote counted after Election Day is somehow fraudulent, knowing that absentee votes sometimes are different voters. That is, it may be one demographic that votes on Election Day, another that votes, by absentee ballot. They're going to run the same false playbook, so we need to inform people about it, and we also need to turn people out so this election isn't close.
So, Congressman, you have Laura Trump, who is the co-chair of the Republican National Committee. She was at Turning Point USA's Actions Detroit Convention, and she had this to say about the message they want to put out there on the street.
We are also sending a loud and clear message out there to anyone who thinks about cheating in an election. If you cheat in an election, we will find you, we will track you down, and we will prosecute you to the full extent of the law.
I'd say that's a little bit of projection to some extent, because all of that could be applied to what they're already planning to do. They've already made a big deal about amassing over 100,000 people who will be poll watchers, which is nothing more than just voter intimidation at various polling places. What are you hearing and seeing coming out of the ranks of the Democratic Party across the country, creating the coalitions and the efforts to also safeguard against what is clearly a stated effort to catch cheating by Republicans, but instead really claiming it's Democrats are the ones doing the cheating?
Well, that statement you just played was very rich, considering that with their whole fake elector plot, this is exactly what they were trying to do, defraud voters of their legitimately cast ballots. But in terms of what the Democratic Party is doing, we are very concerned that they're going to try to suppress the vote in many ways, suppress it, as I mentioned, with these voter suppression laws, but also suppress it with having people intimidate others at the polling places and putting out messages that essentially try to discourage people. And, we've seen in California and certainly in other parts of the country as well, efforts in particular to discourage voters of color from going to the polling place through intimidation and scare tactics. We want to make sure that we push back against that we have legitimate efforts at voter protection. And so, we are, I think, marshaling election experts and others to volunteer and try to make sure there isn't that kind of intimidation going on, that everybody's vote is counted, that where these states have purged voter rolls in an effort to make it even harder for people to vote, that we're getting people re-registered. So we are taking this as serious as a heart attack, because at the end of the day, Michael, as you've often pointed out, this is going to be close, and it's all going to come down to who turns out. And given the efforts Republicans are telegraphing, it also may come down to whether they succeed in invalidating the legitimate votes of people.
So just real quickly before we let you go, Congressman, you're in your race for the United States Senate. There are races like yours around the country in blue and red states. What concerns you right now as we are 4 months out about our election process and what the American people believe or think about it?
Well, I'm actually quite optimistic. As you were discussing earlier on the show, our Senate candidates, the Democratic Senate candidates, are running ahead in each of these elections. You know, we do have to run the table to hold on to the Senate. But I think we're going to run the table. You know, we've got the best candidates in these states. And on the other side of the aisle, a lot of the MAGA people who won Republican primaries are going to be fairly weak opponents. I totally concur with the point that was made earlier that when these candidates, these Republican candidates, fail again, when Donald Trump fails again, the Republican Party will finally move on, not for the sake of our country, but for the sake of their own party. They just can't keep losing as they have with, you know, their biggest loser, Donald Trump.
Yeah, there it is. Congressman Adam Schiff, thank you so much, sir, for taking some time. Up next.